Thank you for listening. A list of content warnings can be found in the episode description. Take care. Enjoy the show. Planescape Torment, the Unofficial audio series. A narrative let's play adapted and produced by Revoke GM. Combining in-game audio with additional voice acting through dialogue and descriptions to improve your listening experience. Rediscover the amazing story of the 1999 cult classic isometric video game, Planescape Torment, like you've never heard before. Amongst all the stacks of tattered parchment, bursting notebooks, and mouldering teacups that litter the place, there is one space within Finam the linguist's office that holds a little more ceremony. Atop a small cabinet, flanked by an offering of dried flowers, sits the bronze urn that holds the ashes of Finam's father. Etched into its base are the words Finandly, beloved husband, father, and scholar of 100 languages. Finam himself had put the idea into your mind that perhaps speaking with the deceased scholar would help in learning the lost language of the dodecahedron. And, as he has gone rummaging through his library in search of his father's notes, you open the lid to the urn and see a mass of grey ashes and a few splinters of charred bone. The ashes seem to stir faintly, as if moved by your breath. And as you begin to reach beyond the boundary, a memory bubbles to the surface of your mind. You are sat before a man of middling years, dressed in a neat woolen suit. You recall this to be the scholar Finandly himself. You remember his gentle voice, his kind manner, his schooling you in the ancient language of the Uo. You also remember his eyes, bloodshot and pleading. Your scarred and gnarled hand as it wrapped around his frail throat, crushing his larynx and thus ensuring that the contents of your journal, hidden and thrice trapped in a dodecahedral puzzle box and penned in the most obscure language within the known multiverse, would now be forever safe from prying eyes.
Here you are then. My father's notes. I knew I'd kept them somewhere, regrettably wedged beneath an old bookshelf to keep it from rocking. About as much good as it could be these days. No one apart from you has found any reason to learn the damned tongue of the Uo. Shame.
Right. Well, if I find anything of interest, I'll be sure to let you know.
Yes. Square then, are we? Good. I've to look over my notes now, so if you'll just excuse me.
Thanks, Finam. Farewell. After you had retrieved Finam's notebook from the brothel, you and your companions sought out Montague and Merriman, the men connected to both Juliet and Delora's respective personal dilemmas. Montague, a charming but rather feckless young man, responded to Juliet's ruse of an affair with about as much passion as a dustman at a dinner party, only roused to fight for their relationship following your quite uncertain encouragement. Merriman, however, had plenty of passion, in the form of spite. A cruel, cantankerous old man who turned out to hold the actual keys to Delora's heart, revealing that she is in fact a construct of his own design that he appears to have gotten weary of. His own malicious heart, seeing something to be gained from the situation, has tasked you with finding a solution to the build-up of his own accumulated memories, hoping to experience with newly freshened and unhardened eyes the wonders found within the Civic Fest Hall sensory stones. You have agreed, though not through any desire to help the man himself, but to relieve Delora of any ties to him. And after all of that, you left your companions in the suite within the Sensate dormitories, and having now acquired Finam's father's notes, head to one of the Clerks Ward bars and await the arrival of the Lady Fall from Grace. The early evening crowd is jubilant and lively, with the various clerks and well-to-dos chatting and sharing their gossip. And while waiting at the bar, you happen upon the gnomish researcher, Abel Ponderthought, who had offered to look into various records for you. His cheeks are a little rosy, and froth from the pint of deep brown frost ale you had bought him in thanks hangs off his mustache like snow upon the boughs of a pine tree. He certainly looks to be enjoying himself as he regales you on what information he had found on the night hag Ravel Puzzlewell.
Yes, apparently she disappeared from the fest hall one night and was believed to have been mazed, to many people's relief. Records indicate that something of hers was needed to open a portal to her maze, but none knew what this might be, nor wanted to find out. You might want to ask people within the fest hall of her.
Something of hers. Right. Thank you. And did you manage to find anything about anyone who looked like me?
Oh, why, yes, actually. Most curious. I found mention of 2 different men who matched your description. Both of the most despicable sort, I'm afraid. The first was an utter madman, a berserk, bloodthirsty mercenary and duelist who killed all those who crossed him.
Go on.
He was finally captured and subsequently drawn and quartered by 24 mercy killers after a murderous rampage in a lower ward pub. His remains were cast beyond the walls of Sigil. This was all some 3 centuries past.
And the other man?
Little is known of him. My research showed that he was a sensate who, shortly before his death, destroyed all the dozens of sensory stones that he had recorded experiences into. It was noted as a great loss to the faction, for the man, though he had few friends, lashing out at anyone who approached him too closely, was said to have collected a great many wondrous sensations.
How did he die? He shrugs.
I do not know. The records do not say.
You pass the next 30 or so minutes chatting with Abel Ponderthought, who is more than happy to have his mug topped up with ale as he shares an in-depth review of the Sigil Hall of Records filing system and his opinions on how to improve it. The 2 of you even get embroiled into the woes of another of the bar's patrons, a young mage's apprentice whose taste for booze has set him at odds with his sorceress master. You tell the young man of the mysterious sensate muse in the Civic Fest Hall named Unfulfilled Desire, who, with but a word, can banish any lingering want from one's soul. Immediately, emboldened by your compassion, the young mage then swears off all drink and sets out to find this mystic, leaving you his enchanted stein in thanks. It's a peculiar vessel and reasonably valuable. A bearded face and multiple runes have been carved into the pewter, and notably, a thin coat of ever-restoring frost forms just beneath the rim, seemingly allowing the mug to hold its contents at a perfectly chilled and even temperature. Eventually, though, as your new gnomish friend waxes his opinion on the misguided views of the Revolutionary League, you see a crown of golden hair and the tips of 2 folded wings rising above the crowd.
I wish that they would open their eyes to the truth. They do nothing but blind themselves and block everyone's access.
Grace! The mistress of the brothel turns, smiling as she sees you, and approaches. Abel Ponderthought has frozen, staring up at the lady, and for the first time since you'd met him, is speechless.
Master Abel Ponderthought. A pleasure to see you here. You've not visited the brothel in some time. I hope all's well.
His cheeks bloom into a rosy red.
The pleasure is all mine, my lady. Forgive me.
He then gives a sudden deep bow, sloshing a little of his pint upon the cobbles.
Do not take my recent absence from your establishment as review. I merely have not...
At ease, good sir. I'm sure that you've been kept far too busy with all your important duties within the city, and I'm certain that for them I should be grateful.
Yes. And I myself am certain I should be getting back to such duties. If you will excuse me, Lady Grace. Sir?
With a nod, he smooths down his tunic, sets the remnants of his ale aside, then, looking a little bleary-eyed, chooses a direction and swiftly departs.
So this is your tactic? Ply the civilians of Sigil with drink and sap them of their hard-earned knowledge? Well, I must warn you, due to my nature, it would take far more than a frosty pint to wear down my guard.
Honestly, I don't think I could have stopped him if I tried. That man spills knowledge as much as he spills his ale.
Well, If Abel Ponder thought is a reflection of the company you keep, I have no doubt we will get along just fine, and this evening will prove to be quite pleasant.
Right.
Now, if you're ready.
She extends her arm, looping it through yours, and begins to lead you out of the plaza and down a wide street. Balconies of beautifully crafted wrought iron and twisted razorvine hang above the fronts of various bureaus and boutique offices. And along this particular street, small sections have been widened, creating little enclosures and seating areas surrounded by sweet-smelling shrubbery. In one, a wizened orator chants out what you think is the poetic verse of some exotic language, and in another, two mummers enact a short play to a small audience of Genasi children who are enamored by the players' masks and silly voices. Grace watches them silently as you pass, a solemn smile on her face. So, what is it exactly that you wanted to show me?
Do you not ever just stop in your travels and experience what is around you? Not everything must be some great quest. Sigil is not just a place from with which to launch adventure or uncover answers. It is the meeting of all known experience, mixing and intertwining with one another, creating something I find quite beautiful. It is a home I have grown very fond of. And if you are to ask me to leave it, you should first experience what it is I would be giving up.
How did you end up in Sigil?
That is a long tale, and not as interesting as some would make it out to be.
She sighs.
It is intertwined in other tales of war and slavery. It is not a pleasant tale.
I would still hear it. For if that's what you came from, it might help me understand a little of why you've chosen to be here.
Very well. I do not know if you are familiar with the Tanari as a whole, but we are a race of the Abyss. A staggered series of planes filled with chaos and evil hearts.
Go on.
I grew up upon the first plane of the Abyss. My mother was a succubus herself. As I'm sure you are aware, succubi tempt mortals, collecting their souls to be absorbed into the plane. My mother was amongst the finest, seducing countless mortals to their eternal damnation. She now dwells in the Abyss, selling her children into slavery.
Your mother sold you into slavery?
Yes, she sold me to the Baetsu, the blood enemies of the Tanari. I think she rather expected they would kill me. Despite her knowledge of other subjects, she knows little of their culture and the delight they take in tormenting others.
How did you escape?
The Baetsu are a proud species. The thought a Tanari could best them at anything was intolerable to them. So, I challenged one of them, one of the proudest, to a contest of improvisation, and my Tanari nature afforded me an advantage. You see, the Tanari are creatures of chaos, wild and unpredictable. The Baetsu are more cunning, with orderly hearts. They understand improvisation, but they're not its best practitioners. And thus, I won my freedom, and my path brought me to Sigil.
Improvisation?
Yes, have you tried it?
No.
A pity. It can be quite exhilarating. Of course, my whole tale is much longer than that, but if what you wanted was to know where I came from, then there it is. I set up the brothel, and for the most part, have been here ever since.
She suddenly stops, looking up at one of the buildings.
Here we are.
What is it?
What it is that I wanted to show you. The Art and Curio Galleria.
Polished stone steps rise to a strange entryway, sculpted in the fashion of a large keyhole set into the simple brick wall behind. The building itself doesn't seem particularly grand from the outside, but as you pass the midnight darkness of the threshold, the space seems to stretch and open out, and you find yourself stood in the foyer of a breathtaking hall. A colonnade of dark stone pillars runs down the center, with various display rooms set to each side. The stones forming the tiles and walls are an oddly opaline black that glints and seems to swirl. Such is the illusion that you could almost feel suspended in the firmament of the astral sea. As mesmerizing as the effect is, your attention is drawn away from the darkness and towards the spheres of light that pool around the exhibitions, sculptures, paintings, murals, and other things that you could not find a word for if you tried, each are illuminated by a gentle halo. Wow.
You like it? Hearts and minds from across the entire multiverse are expressed within this place, free for all to see. Quite a rare thing, I think.
Grace gestures for you to lead the way, following behind as you explore the wondrous artworks. One of the first you see is a set of 4 paintings which portray an empty beach in the dead of night. There is something thrilling about it, as the painted sea seems to ebb and flow across the darkened shore. A placard below reads, Karasuthran Shoreline.
Karasuthra is a lay of the Beastlands, which is perpetually shrouded in night, filled with all manner of animals that stalk their prey in the darkness. The painter had fallen in love with a cat lord and donated this piece before following her to her homeland, never to be seen again. No one is quite sure how the effect has been achieved. It is more than mere illusion. Go ahead, lean in close. Touch it.
You lean in, and the air around the painting smells faintly of brine. Gently, you press your ear to the surface, expecting to feel the motion of the dark water on your face, but it is simply dried paint upon canvas, masterfully worked to give the impression of movement. Although, listening carefully, you can just hear the rumble of waves crashing upon the sand. Off in one of the side rooms, you see a single sculpture. You step inside, and the temperature immediately drops, as shards of black crystal or ice swirl within the freezing wind that the ornate pedestal in the center gives forth. As you reach out to touch one of the whirling shards, a coat of numbing frost instantly forms around your finger, causing you to momentarily draw back.
These are the dark birds of Acanthus, each chipped from the great sheet of infinite ice that rests in the black belly of that layer of Acheron. It is said that the frozen lake of Acanthus is the final destination of the river Styx, and that the recollections of all that have been plunged into its memory-destroying waters still lie held beneath this ice.
If the waters of the Styx destroy one's memories, would this ice from Acanthus do the same?
I could only assume so, yes.
Grace watches, bemused, as you place your finger back into the frigid wind, this time freezing it solid. One of the black shards spins into it, cracking the tip of your finger off, sending it skittering across the Galleria floor. The icy dark birds remain in their whirling orbit as you wait for your fingertip to grow back.
That is one way to experience it, I suppose.
Just a moment. You take the enchanted stein you had just been gifted from the drunken mage and dip the mug into the icy wind, catching a small shard with a slight clang. Peering into the mug, you can see a tiny, razor-sharp sliver of black ice shaped into a crystalline bird. Only the mug's magical properties prevent the shard from melting away to nothing.
I cannot fault your curiosity, I will say that.
You continue to explore the gallery, finding paintings and sculptures that both dazzle and disturb. Fall from Grace, where possible, tells you the stories of each one. A vast, stained glass window suspended in the air, believed to depict the fading image of some event that has not yet occurred. A painting named The Folly of Udo, showing this ill-famed wizard's final moments as he wrought doom upon his world within the prime material plane. And an horrifically lifelike statue, which is apparently the petrified remains of the Ethesarian sorcerer Gangroi Gaiden, held just as she was uttering the verbal components to an awful curse. There is one particularly disturbing painting that has been carefully transferred from the walls of one of the gatehouse's cells, Sigil's largest asylum. All the occupant of this cell could speak before he finally expired was, "Hazazoth has consumed Nagar. Hazazoth has consumed Nagar." A frightening image that makes the pit of your stomach feel hollow and cold. Eventually, you come to a painting that feels very familiar. It is a portrait of a grotesque, hook-nosed old crone. The hag's flesh is a sickly blue-grey color. Her eyes glow red like the embers of a dying fire. Her chin, long and sharp, juts forward in an extreme underbite, and 2 yellowed canines protrude upwards from her lower jaw like small tusks. The smile upon her withered purplish lips speaks of a horrible secret. You are drawn into this painting, and once again, the strange prickling sensation you have become accustomed to arises in the back of your skull, a memory beginning to surface. You recall standing, confused in a maze of briars. The hideous crone from the painting is before you, cackling wildly. You grit your teeth in frustration, wondering why she's laughing at you.
My poor, dear, lovely man-thing.
She croons.
Why, that was your first wish.
She points a single, bony, clawed finger at your forehead. Your temples begin to throb painfully, and you can remember nothing more. Yeah.
You're right. Here, take a seat.
Grace guides you to a bench in the center of the room and touches her palm to your forehead. There is a slight tingling upon your skin, but immediately you feel better, refreshed.
Mistress Grace, is that you?
Lady Ivana! Yes, we're just here.
She helps you to your feet again and introduces you to a well-dressed, elderly woman in a gown of peach silk and golden thread. The lady gives a small nod, and you notice her eyes are entirely clouded with a milky white.
Greetings, sir. I am Ivana. You are welcome to my Galleria. I would offer to show you around, but there are a few guides more accomplished than your companion here.
Thank you. It is an incredible place. I was just taken aback by one of the pieces.
One moment, sir. Your voice, it is heavy with age and wounds. Would you be so kind as to permit me to touch your face?
Sure. Go ahead. Ivana smiles, gently running her old hands over your cheeks, brow, and jaw. Then she frowns, looking slightly puzzled.
So many scars, both old and new. They seem to...
She touches the side of your throat, flushes, then pulls away.
Pardon me, sir. I was curious to see how far they went.
It's fine. And they're everywhere. My whole body is scarred. Ivana nods.
You have found yourself before the Grey Lady.
Excuse me?
This painting, the Grey Hag of Oinos.
Right. Yes, of course. Ravel puzzle well, is she not? Both Ivana and Grace look a little surprised.
Yes, exactly. Very likely the evilest hag ever to have terrorized the Grey Waste and beyond.
Tell me about the painting. What do you know of her?
Well, not much, and few do. It is said she came to Sigil many centuries ago to pursue arcane experiments. It was believed that these experiments were against the lady's will, and that Ravel was thus banished from Sigil, imprisoned with one of the lady's mazes on the ethereal, where her body rests to this very day.
Go on.
Ravel was believed to have been a master of riddles and puzzles. But there was one riddle, one question in particular, that was said to have plagued the ancient night hag.
Go on.
What can change the nature of a man? She issued a challenge to any who were interested. She promised to instruct any who came to her in her craft, if they could only answer that question to her satisfaction. If they could not, they must consent to be her next meal. Many died coveting Ravel's teachings, and it is believed that until her final hours in Sigil, Ravel never discovered the answer. Of course, some believe this all to be myth and legend, but it is a good story, and I quite like thinking it true.
I have a question. Not about one of the pieces.
Of course. Please, ask.
Can you not see, Ivana? She quietly purses her lips and smiles.
Lady Ivana is blind by choice and not by circumstance. Is that not true?
Ivana nods.
You are quite correct, Mistress Grace. I cannot see, but only because I do not wish to. In time, I will allow my vision to return so that I can re-experience the contents of my Galleria with the benefit of new, fresh eyes.
Though it must be said, in no way does it hamper your command of this space. It is a pleasure to be back here, truly.
The pleasure is all mine. Now, if you will excuse me, sir, I must see to the other guests. I leave you in very capable hands. Mistress Grace?
She bows and leaves you before the painting.
I'm starting to see how you may have acquired so many of those scars. Do you ever choose to not ask a question that falls into your mind?
Yeah. Tact is not a strong suit of mine.
That's okay. Your inquisitiveness carries a certain charm. And Ivana certainly would not be bothered by such a thing. I think to the contrary. She enjoys the air of mystique.
She looks familiar to me.
Oh?
One of your students, in fact, Yves.
She is her mother. They no longer speak to one another.
Why is that?
That is a question for the both of them, and one I might consider holding back on.
The two of you approach a few more of the exhibits. A beautiful gem structure, fashioned such that you cannot tell if it depicts either some fiend or, contrastingly, a deva. You also find a bloody chain that coils and hisses, bound upon its housing, yet still seething with malicious intent. You recognize it to be the animated appendage of a chiton, one of the cruel denizens of jangling Hyta, the city suspended above the third layer of Beator, Mineros. None, though, despite their wonder, can move the image of that hag from your mind. Seemingly sensing this in your manner, Grace stops and stares into your eyes.
Are you all right? You seem distracted.
Yeah, I'm fine.
I don't believe you. And if I might pry with one of my own questions, I think it has something to do with that painting. The Grey Hag of Oinos. Am I correct?
Yes. Seeing it brought back a memory.
That is good, is it not?
Not a pleasant one.
I see.
She holds your gaze.
Who is this Ravel Puzzlewell to you?
Well, that is what I am doing here. I intend to seek her out. Grace raises an eyebrow.
Truly? I found myself compelled to ask why.
I need information that she has.
Is this information available from no one else?
I suspect that only Ravel possesses the knowledge I need. Do you know much about her?
I am familiar with the name, but know no more than what Ivana has already said.
Fall from Grace pauses and thinks for a moment.
Rumors cluster thickly about that name.
She then rests her hand lightly on your arm.
Consider this. If Ravel does indeed exist, then she's extremely powerful and cunning. If a fraction of the stories of her activities are true, then she is a creature that has discovered new meanings of evil. The search for her is not a quest to be undertaken lightly.
I realize that.
Don't you ever try doing anything boring?
I try not to.
Well, I've never met a myth. This should be quite the outing.
She smiles. Does this mean you intend to join me?
Undecided. We shall see. There is still more of this evening ahead, and I still have many more questions.
Thank you for listening to Planescape Torment, the unofficial audio series, a Revoca GM production. To support the show and those involved, please consider subscribing to our Patreon or donating via our Ko-fi page. Links to both are in the description.